Ankemat Hete Peru. Welcome back to Kemetic Tuesday. Today, I want to talk about the power of the name and dealing with the Kemetic mystical system, the Rin. So, what is the Rin? The Rin is the name, but not just your name, but more so parts of your name, of your soul. It deals with the aspect that gives power. So it's the name that accesses the dimension where you draw the power from that's connected to your identity. That's a mouthful. Let's try to break that down a little bit. So a name denotes a nature and reveals a dimension. The name is the frequency used to access a dimension of a thing. It's for this reason that in Kemetic culture, just in their everyday life, the people who were regarded as the most religious and most superstitious by the Greeks, the Kemetic people oftentimes used multiple names depending on what they were doing at the time. As in, let's just say they had a street name and a home name. They had a name they used when they were doing business. They had a name they used when they were out getting groceries. They had a name when they were out on vacation. They had a name that they used just at home. This is because in understanding Hekau, or their magic system, they understood that if you don't have the right name, then you can't access the right person. So it was an era of distrust that they had about their civilization, where they simultaneously believed in the metaphysical and the supernatural and understood the risk in even giving your actual name. Because to give your name is to give access to yourself. And truth be told, you don't want everyone to have access to you. And when you believe in the metaphysical, you believe in the supernatural, you believe that all it takes is the right name to gain access, then you're a little bit more protective of your actual name. This played a huge role in even understanding what's known as the secret name, because this is what deals with the Ren a bit more. It accesses your innermost being. And if you understand the secret name of a person, place, or thing, you access the power of that thing and gain power over that thing. There's a story I'm going to share with y'all from Kemetic legend that deals with this. But this is also a paradigm that you get from Yeshua himself, who was a Kemetic mystic. You talk about this you do in my name, this you do in my name. This is him giving over his dimension to multiple people. Meaning, if you learn how to function in my nature, you'll get the same results as me. Whatever you do as me, from me, it's not the same as just saying the name. So it comes down to understanding, what does a name mean? What does your name mean? It's for this reason, even on a low level, that oftentimes when people go through a major transition in their life, usually spiritual, they decide to change their name to match the dimension that they're now in. And right? You know what dimension you have access to a person by what name they let you call them. There was a moment in history where the boxer was named Cassius Clay, and then there was a moment where Cassius Clay died, and it was even disrespectful to call him that because he's now Muhammad Ali. There was a moment where he was Abram, now he's Abraham. There was a moment when he was Jacob, now he's Israel. You get the point. That there's a moment where he's Simon, now he's Peter, Saul, now Paul. This is something that's not just in biblical narrative, but this is something that's all over the world, that the name that you have should always feed your identity. So what if I told you that one of the problems you could be facing is that the name that you let people call you is speaking a curse over your life? The name is the most common prophecy spoken over you every day. That's what you answer to. That's how people invoke you. That's the frequency release. So what if that frequency is actually detrimental? Names have meaning. Some of you need name changes. Let's go a bit deeper. Did you know that you have names in the spirit? Not just a name, but names. For every dimension of your spirit, every dimension of your soul, you bear a different name. And depending on what aspect of yourself you want to draw on, you can actually call yourself the right name or be called the right name, and it calls up that aspect of yourself. Here, I'll share a story with y'all. It's a popular story. This is a story of Isis or Aset and Ra. Ra, the king of the gods, lord of divine consciousness, the father, right? He's all powerful, almighty. And Aset, being the mystic that she is, she wants that same level of power for herself. So she starts to formulate a plan to access his power, because she knows that the only way to access his true measure of power is to access his name, his secret name, to access his Ren. So she realizes that she can't just send any old danger at him, because, you know, she's a healer. So she's like, maybe I can harm him, and then I can create something to hurt him in such a way that I'm the only one that could help him, and that'll force him into a spot to reveal his name to me as the cure. So she's like, I can't just take anything out. I kind of need to be a little bit smart about this, because he is the emanation of light. He and life. I can't take anything outside of him to hurt him with, because it doesn't work. She's like, I need to take something. I need to take a part of him to be able to hurt him. That's a key in itself. I'm coming back to that. So she takes some of his spit, right? She follows him for a while. Let's say he's walking down the street, he spits on the ground, and she takes some of his spit. Now she has something related to him, and out of his spit, she fashions a serpent, and she sends it at him to strike him and inflict damage. He gets filled with venom, and he calls for help. She comes to his aid, the problem coming with the solution. And she's like, well, I can heal you up, no problem. But this thing is made out of your power. So I can't, I don't have anything outside of you to help you. What I need is your actual name. And it's from that measure of your identity, I'll be able to formulate a cure to cure it. And the story goes that Ra gave her every name other than the one she wanted. She's like, no, sorry, boss. We got all those names already. We know those. It's the real one. Share your real one. And eventually he's in such pain and such agony that he finally gives in and shares his secret name with her. And it's from that moment, of course, she heals him, but she then begins to walk in the same measure of power as him, just because she's invoking the same frequency he lives from. And there's a lot of things you can take from that narrative. In fact, leave some in the comments. What are some things that you get from the story of Isis and Ra, especially when dealing with the name? A few of the things that I wanted to point out is the fact that it took nothing outside of him could harm him. And it took his own help. He had to get involved in his own demise without him knowing it. It shows how careless we are about the power of our identity. How often have you given yourself to something that turned around and bit you in return? It needed your help to be built, and you were one of the first people used. It reminds me of the story of the guy who invented the bronze bull torture method, where I believe it was the Greeks. I don't remember if it's the Greeks or the Romans, but I believe it was the Greeks. They fashioned this brass bull, and it was designed in such a way that when you put someone on the inside of it, their screams sound like the regular noise that a bull makes. Well, the guy that made it was the first one it was used on. The leader at the time put him in it, and what they would do is put fire underneath it, so it would pretty much roast you while you were inside. And, you know, the screen. So that's kind of what happened. We kind of see that same paradigm happening a lot in our lives, where when we're not careful, we allow ourselves to be used as the architect of our own demise and our own mistreatment, taking a bit more accountability for our involvement in that. Not just that, it reveals the power of names. It reveals the fact that you have many names, many dimensions, many layers. You should know your names. You should know your dimensions. You should know your facets. Of course, I know several of my actual names. I spent enough time in the spirit to learn them. Of course, not sharing that with y'all. I kind of just taught y'all how that's kind of detrimental. But it's important for you to know yourself. Certain names you can show. It helps people draw on that aspect of you. Others, no, keep that secret. Some things should remain private. Some things should remain secret. Other things can be charitable for the public. It's up to you. Hopefully, this kind of showed you the importance of the name and the power behind what a name truly is. A name reveals a nature and it embodies a dimension. It's the frequency of access. Some of you, again, need to change your names. It's for this reason why many in the Kemetic community have a process of divining names, where they'll choose a name or they'll have a name given to them by the Spirit that they then go by, made up of a mixture of Kemetic words and sometimes Necheru that really invoke the essence of why they were sent to the earth. Wait a minute, did you know that in many African tribes, there's actually a ritual that they do before a baby is born, while it's still in the womb? They access the frequency of that baby, they access the spirit of that child, and they learn about it beforehand so that they can name it properly when it comes out, so that the name that they give it matches why it was sent into the earth. That's powerful. Y'all, that's it for this session. This has been fun. And if you haven't already, check out my book, Kemetic Prayers. It's a collection of Hesses, hymns, affirmations, prayers, a lot of stuff. You can find it on Amazon, Kindle. And that's it, y'all. Until next time, y'all be blessed. Ankwajed, Ankunjab Seneb.